Now, there's the science to all this, which my friend here, Matt, has already been addressing the science.
Yes, because that's all we truly have.
The first study occurred in 1913, conducted by government scientist D.B. Sterrett for the U.S. Geological Survey. His findings concluded that the lights were nothing more than reflections from passing locomotives, an observation that disappointed and even enraged some locals who protested that lights were seen even when the locomotives weren't running.
Right, and at that point it could have been other things mixed in with that. It could have been someone walking on the mountain and people not realizing it. It could have been the brush fires. The locomotives was just adding to it. That's why they're
I just cannot see. Now, are they meaning train locomotives or cars?
Cars weren't that advanced back then, so it would have been trains. This was 1913.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Are there railroads in that area?
Yes, and there was a flood, and that's why people got angry with his survey, was that they said that they could see the light even when the tracks were flooded out. But you have to put everything into account.
Okay.
It was the train lights were adding to it, right? Trains get flooded for a year or two. They have to wait until the flood. But there's brush fires. There's people camping.
Unless they're seeing the ghost of a locomotive.
I mean, if you want to believe, but then how does a train become a ghost? Because in what you've always told me, isn't it?
There's a remnants of souls.
Yeah,
trains don't have souls.
Right. So how does that work?
It wouldn't work.
You see?
It wouldn't work. I could believe more of a soul doing it than anything.
Unless it's a soul train. You've never heard of the soul train?
No, I don't think I have.
Okay.
But a 1921 U.S. Weather Bureau study suggested that the lights were a phenomenon similar to the Andes lights. Silent electrical discharges between mountain tops and clouds. But that theory, like others including Elm's fires,
St. Elmo's fire,
St. Elmo's fire, Foxfire, methane gas, and will-o'-the-wisps,
swamp gas, and will-o'-the-wisp,
continues to be debated. The light is especially active during a clearing spell following a rain, as many observers noted. When the mist becomes quite dense, the light is obscured. The effect of the variations in atmospheric density is to sometimes increase and at other times diminish the light's intensity. Thus, a light may suddenly appear, then effectively disappear, as frequently observed. Okay, so that's some logical, would make more sense for some of this stuff.
Than ghosts.
Some of this stuff. Yeah, I mean, whether or not if people had died there and they're seeing things, like I said, I'm not really the type to doubt ghosts, but from some of these lures, it's hard to really tell whether or not these things happen. The officer one was more logical. This is also logical.
I'm just putting out there, and the fact that you said that there was a ghost train.
Well, there is that one place in North Carolina that apparently they still hear the train, which we could probably visit there someday and investigate.
Maybe.
In May 1978, a multidisciplinary team of researchers from Orion, the Oak Ridge Observations Network of Oak Ridge, 10, spent 8 days in the shadow of Brown Mountain. They were rewarded with sightings on 4 separate evenings. Orion was founded in 1974 by a group of scientists primarily to perform correlated instrumented observation of atmospheric phenomenon. Orion's conclusions, explain Dr. David E. Fields, were similar to the ones offered by the U.S. geological studies of the early 1900s. Okay, so he's going to go. So this is what he said. We found there were lots of fairly easily explained things, says Fields. For instance, any number of lights could be lights and reflections of lights from cities, automobiles, flashlights, and lanterns. And of course now we see lights from airplanes, which you have already addressed. The thing, the refraction theory, is most interesting. The cooler air, light moves more slowly than through warm air. Because of this, if a beam of light goes from warmer to cooler air, and it's moving in any direction other than perpendicular to the interface between the different temperatures, the light gets bent just like in a lens, so you'll have a lens effect. We also saw some interesting electrical effects when lightning storms were moving in. We saw a lightning strike, and subsequently to it, we saw a tree glow, probably St. Elmo's fire. Elmo's fire. An electrostatic discharge from the tree. That was pretty interesting. We also had some success with experiments to see if mineral lights can be produced. Mineral lights are the electrical discharge from stress crystals. Piezoelectricity, from the Greek word meaning to press. An example would be applying pressure to quartz crystals in the granite, which is plentiful in the area. When the quartz is stressed, a voltage develops across crystal. We speculated that this might give rise to a luminous phenomenon, something miners know about even though other people often don't. Fields explains. Okay. So this may explain for some of the stuff that people are seeing in the mountains with lights, but it's still not explaining the dancing lights in the sky.
But I mean, the optical illusion. The light pulling, going up, being reflected, it looks like a ball. It's an optical illusion.
Okay, well, where would the light hit in a way where you're going to see that in the sky dance around?
I mean, if there's different things, if there's something reflecting the light, or it could be or you know what else it could be? If you can kind of see it, trash. Did you ever hear of the UFO? There was a video that they said that there was supposed to be this orb going around the field. Well, they found out the orb was actually a bag that was going in the wind, and then the guy edited in the crop circle stuff. So what people could be seeing is a reflection of something else, and they think it's dancing around.
Okay, like what type of trash? A trash bag?
Yeah, trash bag. Anything in the woods.
But the problem with that, if we were comparing it with this, trash bag, obviously we've seen it. We've seen trash bags float in the air. They do not go that fast with dancing.
I mean,
that cannot explain.
The dancing thing could be the insects again, back with the lights and stuff.
Unless you have it right there where the bag can illuminate that light, and they can see this
bunch
bug.
bunch of insects. I mean, it makes more sense than a person's spirit going up.
Although scientific studies may not be nearly as much fun as unrequited love, murder, war, and revenge, anyone who watches for the Brown Mountain Lights long enough will be rewarded.
Mm-hmm.
People see different lights in all kinds of weather in any season. Sometimes they last a few seconds. Other times they may last half an hour. Some say the lights cast a red glow. Others say it's definitely yellow. For still others, it was absolutely green. The lights range in size from basketballs to car tires. Other possible naturalistic explanations for the lights include electrostatic discharge generated by a slow-moving geological fault line which runs beneath the mountain. However, the true nature of their origins, the Brown Mountain Lights, remain a potent and compelling attraction, drawing in spectators every year who come just to see the mysteries in the light show. Proponents of the mystery are quick to challenge the scientific explanation, but as Rosemary Ellen Gilly acknowledges, ghost lights have a power to fascinate. Some individuals who see them do not want to mystique spoiled by an explanation. Neither do writers selling mystery. Whenever one explanation is offered, they describe other eyewitnesses' reports, or alleged reports, since often no source are given, that supposedly rule out that cause. They suggest, therefore, that no scientific explanation solves the mystery of the Brown Mountain. We should refuse to fall for such tricks. The evidence is clear. There is no single explanation because there is no single phenomenon. Just as we know that not all UFOs are weather balloons, not all Brown Mountain lights have a single cause. Certain automobiles, trains, and other mundane sources have been responsible for most of the lights. The response of locals, relying on folklore that the phenomena occurred long before there were such vehicles, is based on exceedingly slight evidence. More recently have come various potential light sources, such as off-road vehicles and campers, that are commonly mistaken for paranormal illuminations. Illuminations, my bad. An ORV park having been installed in the mid-1980s. As with UFOs, some lights will remain unidentified, not because they are inherently mysterious, but because they are just eyewitness reports or snapshots with so many variable factors. But to claim that something unknown, negative evidence, is therefore paranormal is to engage to the logical falsity of arguing from ignorance, drawing a conclusion from a lack of knowledge. Consider this the next time Brown Mountain researchers engage to their mystifications. So, to wrap this up, the lights that people are seeing could be anything. I cannot say they're UFOs just because from what the report said from at least the law enforcement and the wife of the husband that saw them and saw the lights. The fact that the lights are moving like this, I can't really see that being a UFO.
Right.
UFOs, they can move fast, but I don't think they could really,
Right.
So, for this path of questions, I'm going to say UFOs are probably not involved in this.
No.
I think...
man-made light sources and unidentified...
So, from what we've gathered here, and from what my friend Matt has gathered with some of the science and what I've looked up here, I'm kind of leaning more towards the science part, but there is something in the middle with at least what the law enforcement saw is kind of odd.
But couldn't the law enforcement officer still be part of the science and just didn't understand what he was seeing?
He has more of a logical explanation than most of the stuff here.
Yeah. All I'm saying, Arturo, is just jump on my side. It's nice and warm over here.
Weather at prominent points of a ship or airplane. Okay, ships. I'm pretty sure there's a water area there, isn't there?
Yeah.
A claim by the careless Coleman, William Garrett de Braham, then British colonial surveyor, general of the South District of North America, was the first white man to view the lights. Is untrue. He was simply trying to explain some loud noises in the mountains as spontaneous igniting of nitrous vapors. But that's basically all we've got about the Brown Mountain Lights. So, by day's end, it is still a mystery, but I'm going to say what we've gathered and what we've seen. I will also put the description of the podcast that will explain the science behind it. I will say there's some science going with it, but there is some odd stuff with it as well. The lights in the sky are something mysterious because from what the police officer said and what the husband and wife saw. Now with the husband and wife story, that's a bit debatable because some of the stuff that my friend Matt was suggesting, it could be in some of the science. The lore and legends, I'm kind of like 40 to 30% believing a little bit of that, but not everything, because some of it is getting mixed up with other legends that maybe can combine with this. Whether or not there was a battle there could have been. That could have been a battle. It may not have been a big battle that what people are suggesting, but it
Yeah.
could have been a battle and people died. Maybe they are still seeing something. Ghosts of these dead warriors. But, like I said, some of this is a little bit mixed around with some of the legends. And obviously the lantern story. There's a legend from another place, and then there's a legend of this place. Obviously the only conclusion I'm going to go with is what the police officer said. There was also an eyewitness that was also with him at the time. That is the only close explanation we're going to get to these lights that go around in the sky for no reason. Yeah. But other than that, I kind of lean more towards the science.
Yes. Good.
So I think we can say it's more of science that we're seeing than anything.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that's a little bit over here is just the lights in the sky
Yeah.
for me. But other than that, I think it's science.
Yep.
So, what do you guys think? Do you think it's just science? We may have answered a question for all of you guys. Maybe it's just science. From all what I've gathered here, what my friend Matt has gathered. So, until then, stay tuned for the next episode where we might talk about maybe the Mothman or the UFOs.
Yeah.
Either or. But until then, stay safe, everyone. Could be aliens out there. Ghosts.
No. No, it's all science. Yeah. I mean, it's most likely not aliens abducting us and probing us.